Hi, this is Blair Singer, author of Little Voice Mastery, How to Win the War Between Your Ears in 30 Seconds or Less, and also the founding contributor to Radical Wealth. And I'm here to talk to you about a little voice technique that has to do with goal setting. The problem is when most people set goals, it's one thing to set a goal, but then what happens is that people get trapped in what they already know, their experiences that are already around them, the context that they're living in, so it becomes a big struggle to work your way out of the mire to get to the goal that you want. One of the techniques I learned many, many years ago from a fellow by the name of James Halcomb, who actually helped the United States Navy develop the Polaris missile project, is that once you achieve the goal, the little voice technique is to start in the future once you have the goal, and rather than coming back to the present and saying, what do I need to do to be able to get to the goal, you start in the future and work your way backwards. That's it. So you say, my goal is to make $1 million in my business this year. The next question you ask was, well, what would have had to happen just before that in order to be able to make the $1 million? Well, maybe I would have had to close a deal with a client that was going to generate me a third of that kind of income. And then you say, okay, so what would have happened just before that? And what would have happened just before that and before that? And what you do is you take yourself a pile of Post-it notes, and every time you answer the question, what happened just before that, you write down whatever that event would be and post it on the wall, with the future being on the right-hand side and the present being on the left-hand side. And what you'll do is you'll technically create the future by starting in the future, working your way backwards, and not allowing your little voice to come back and say, but I don't have enough money, but I don't have enough resources, or I don't know what to do. Don't do that. And that's why most people don't get to their goal, because they're still chained with the restrictions from their past experiences. To put a man on the moon, this, by the way, this process actually has a name. It's called Project Evaluation Review Technique, PERT. It's a PERT process that was actually the same process used to put a man on the moon. You had to start with what's it look like at the end and then work your way back in order to get to the present. If you do this properly, the plan itself, this goal-setting process itself, will actually give you the information you need. It will tell you what you need to learn. It will tell you what resources you're going to need, rather than you dictating to it what resources you have. It's a completely radical way of creating wealth, a radical way of creating your goals, but you start in the future, work your way back. Be awesome at it.